Storytelling can feel like this magical, innate talent that some people just have. But what if I told you it's not? That it's actually a skill you can learn? Today, we're going to break it down into 5 super simple ingredients for telling an incredible story. And to prove just how simple this is, let's kick things off with a little 20-second masterclass from the actor John Krasinski.
Okay, so picture this. John's going through customs in the UK, and this agent is giving him a really hard time. The guy looks down at his passport, looks back up at John, and asks, "So, who are you visiting here?" John just goes, "My wife." The agent keeps grilling him, "Is she an actress?" "Yep." "Would I know her?" And John's like, "I don't know, man. Her name's Emily Blunt." Well, the agent's eyes just go wide. He stares, points right at John, and stammers out.
Okay, so what was it about that little story that worked so well, right? Why is it so much better than if he just said, a customs agent was really surprised I'm married to a famous actress? I mean, that second version gives you the same information, but it has zero punch. It's totally flat. That difference, that gap between the boring summary and the story that probably just made you smile, that is the single most important secret to telling a great story.
And here's what it is. It's so simple. The key is to stop summarizing. Stop giving people the highlights. Instead, you've got to transport your listener to a single, specific moment in time. You need to make them feel like they are right there, standing next to you as it all goes down. So, how on earth do we actually do that?
All right, think about it this way. Most of us, when we tell a story, we do it from what I call the helicopter view. We're flying way up high, looking down, and just giving this broad, general summary of what happened. But the really great storytellers, they take us down into the trenches. They drop us right onto the ground, right into the middle of the action. And the best part? There's a simple 5-part toolkit that lets absolutely anyone do this. It's not magic, it's a formula.
All right, so let's crack open this toolkit, shall we? We've got 5 key ingredients. Think of these as little things you can just sprinkle into any story to instantly pull it down from that vague helicopter view and plant it right in the trenches. So, let's start with the very first one, the foundation.
First ingredient, location. Seriously, it's this simple. Just say where you physically are in the story. It's the absolute easiest way to get your listener to start building a picture in their head.
So instead of jumping into some abstract thought, you ground them in a real place. You just say something like, "Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting on my couch," or "Last year, I was standing in this exact conference room." It's such a tiny change, but believe me, it makes a world of difference.
And here's why that little trick is so powerful. The second you say conference room, your audience's brain gets to work. They instantly picture a conference room. You don't have to describe the chairs or the table. Their imagination fills in all the details. And just like that, boom, they're in the scene with you.
Okay, let's build on that with ingredient number 2, actions. So you've told them where you are, now tell them what you are physically doing. And I mean, use real verbs. Are you walking, typing, leaning against a wall? What's happening?
What this does is it cuts through all the boring backstory and setup. You're basically telling your audience, don't worry, I'm not going to waste your time. You're taking them straight to the important part. Something like, so I get to my office, I flip open my laptop, and I start reading this message.
This is all about creating what we call forward momentum. When you describe what you're doing, it signals to your listener that the story is moving, things are happening. You're making a promise that you're going to get right to the good stuff.
All right, ingredient number 3. This is where things get really good. I'm talking about sharing your thoughts. And look, I don't mean the polished professional summary of what you were thinking. I mean the raw, unfiltered, maybe even a little bit weird inner monologue that was actually running through your head at that moment.
This is the huge difference between summarizing a feeling and actually revealing yourself. So you don't say, "I was disappointed about the presentation." No. You take us inside your brain. You say what you were really thinking, like, "Oh man, this is bad. Everyone in this room is going to think I'm a complete idiot."
See, that's what creates a real connection. When you share those messy human thoughts, the worries, the secret hopes, the uh-oh moments, your story becomes instantly relatable. It's a little bit vulnerable, and it makes your audience feel like they're really getting to know you.
Okay, on to ingredient number 4, which is emotions. But there's a really important rule here. You've probably heard it before. Show, don't tell. And this is exactly what that means. Instead of just naming an emotion, you describe the physical way it showed up.
Just look at the difference here. You could say, "I was relieved." Okay, fine. But it's not very visual, is it? Or you could say, "I leaned all the way back in my chair and just let out this huge sigh." Now we can see the relief on your body. Instead of saying, "He was anxious," you could say,
He couldn't stop tapping his pen on the table, and his eyes kept darting toward the door.
When you show an emotion like that, you make it tangible. You make it real. You're not just telling your audience what to feel, you're actually inviting them to experience that feeling right along with you. It's the difference between describing a feeling and actually creating one.
And that brings us to our fifth and final ingredient, dialogue. Honestly, this might be the simplest and most powerful tool in the entire toolkit. The rule is easy. Whenever someone else speaks in your story, don't summarize what they said. Quote them, word for word.
I mean, think about it. You could say, my manager told me she liked my work. Kind of boring. Or you could say, my manager looked me right in the eye and said, wow, that was the best presentation you have ever given. See how that moment just comes alive? It becomes so much more real and memorable. It's exactly what John Krasinski did with the customs agent.
Dialogue just instantly brings a scene to life. It breaks up the monotony of you just talking, it injects other personalities into the story, and it just makes everything feel more dynamic and real. It's one of the best shortcuts I know to make a story way more interesting.
Okay, so we have our 5 ingredients. Now let's see how they all work together in the wild. I'm going to share a really powerful 1-minute story from an entrepreneur named Sarah Willingham. And as I'm telling it, I want you to listen closely. See if you can spot all 5 things: the location, the actions, her thoughts, the emotion, and of course the dialogue.
Okay, here's Sarah's story. She says, I was in my mid-20s, running acquisitions for Pizza Express, and I walked into a meeting room. I was about 2 minutes late. The lawyer on the other side of the table looks up at me and says, oh, thank goodness you're here. Mine's white with 1 sugar, please. And I just thought to myself, okay, this is a moment. So I walked over, I made him his coffee, I put it down right in front of him, and then I asked, would anybody else like one? Nobody said a word. So I made my own coffee and sat back down right opposite him. And as he finally looked up, I watched the color just drain from his face as he realized the massive, massive assumption he'd just made. Wow. I mean, did you catch them all? She used every single ingredient perfectly. We got the location, a meeting room. We got that incredibly condescending dialogue, mine's white with 1 sugar. We got her quick internal thought, okay, this is a moment. We got her calm, deliberate action, making him the coffee, and then that killer visual emotion at the end, watching the color drain from his face. It's just perfect.
So that's it. That's the whole recipe. The 5 simple ingredients you need to zoom into any moment and tell a story that people will actually remember. Just tick them off the list. Where are you? Location. What are you doing? Actions. What's going on in your head? Thoughts. How does that feeling look on your body? Emotions. And what did they actually say? Dialogue. That's your new storytelling toolkit.
Look, being a great storyteller isn't some magical gift you're born with. It is a skill. And now you have the tools to build that skill. It's like having a new superpower, and it's all yours. So the only question I have for you is, what's the first story you're going to tell?